Okay, we're on to the next step in our organizer program. In this step, we're actually going to create a new item, a new Windows form, and add it to our project. Here's how you do it. We want to add it to the header files folder because that's where all our forms go. We see form 1 there. So we right click on the header files folder name and we see add. We choose add new item because we don't have the form created yet. We need to make a new one. If you select the Visual C++, install templates heading here, you'll see Windows Form on the right. Now it's important that you name this form exactly as I do here. I want you to call it add, ADD, item, and do not put any spaces in that name. Add item, and it will make it a new file in the header folder area. Let's click add, and things kind of get created there, and once it's done you'll see the add item.h form file. Okay, and it also should open automatically in your window. It's just a blank form, just like any other. Alright, and again, it's very important that it's called add item with no spaces, capital A, capital I. Again, why is that important? Because that's the name we use back here to the add item object. That's what we're referring to, is this particular form that is going to be used to add the new items to our data grid. Okay. So this data grid, this Windows form, you need to add a few things to it. I want you to add 4 labels, 4 text boxes, and 2 buttons. I'll come back in a minute and show you what they should look like. Okay, I'm back. You can see here that I have added 4 labels, album name, artist, genre, tracks, and 4 text boxes that go with those corresponding labels. At the bottom I have 2 buttons. All I did after adding them is change the text property for each one of them. Okay, so for example, this button cancel, its text property is cancel. This button, its text property is add. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is just go ahead and double click the add button, and we know that that creates a method. Inside this method, I've gone ahead and made this part of it a little bit easier on you. I want you to open up Moodle, and there you will see the code that you need to copy and paste into this method. So go ahead and open up the Moodle course and look at our assignment page, and you'll see the code there. Once you do that, come back and we'll paste it in here. Okay, here I am in the Moodle course, and I'm in the organizer with input form assignment page, and we see the code here. As it says, you just need to copy all of this code and go ahead back to your form and simply paste it into this method. Okay. One thing I want to show you real quick, when you see a bunch of items like this, when your code is not properly indented, there's a really easy way to fix that. If you go Control A, then Control K, then Control F, kind of a strange combination of keystrokes, but Control A, Control K, then Control F, you will see that all of your coding will now be formatted properly with the proper amount of indents. Just a little tip. Okay, so we've gone ahead and created that form with the all the code for the button. Let's go back to the form design view. We have one other button here, and that's the cancel button. And so let's go ahead in and double click on that, and we'll see that this cancel button is simply used to close this form, not the whole program, but just this form if you click on it. So as we've done in the past, you'll just come in here and type close, and that will close that window without adding anything to the data file. Alright, so if your file looks like this now, you have 2 methods, you have all that code in there, and your form looks like this, you're good to go. Okay, one other thing we need to do to our add item form here is to go into the code, and as we did with our other form in the organizer, we need to add the XML XML namespace to our program. So right here after the namespace system drawing line, let's go ahead down 1 line and type in using namespace system 2 colons and then we need to use XML, capital X, small m and L, and then a semicolon. It's a really important step. Okay, what we need to do next is take a closer look at the code that we added here in our add item form, the code that we copied and pasted in. We can see here that there's a series of objects or names that all start with TXT. We've got TXT item name, TXT artist, TXT genre, and TXT tracks. TXT stands for text box. And as we can probably identify, these are the 4 different types of information that we are putting into our data file from these text boxes. Let's go back to the design view of this form, and we see, sure enough, we have 4 different text boxes. Those names I just showed you are actually the specific names of each of these text boxes. The program needs to know where the information is coming from when we submit this form and how to put it into the data file. And so we need to rename each of these text boxes. We come in here to the Properties window, and with the first one selected, we find the name property. It's the word name in parentheses. We want to change that to TXT item underscore name, and that's just as it is written in the code that we just showed you. Go down and select the next one and rename that name property to TXT artist. Okay, next one, you get the idea. TXT genre, let's make sure you spell genre right, and TXT tracks. This is a really important step. Your program won't work unless you do that. Okay, one last thing we need to do to our Form 1 file. We need to go to the very top of this file, and we need to tell it to include this new form that we just got done creating and programming it. So go ahead to the very top of the form, and you'll see the words Pragma once. Put your cursor to the left of that, at the very top of the file, and hit enter twice. Move your cursor up 2 lines, and go ahead and write this code in. You need a pound symbol, and then the word include, and then in double quotes, add item, again, .h. And this is the file or the form that we just added, the add item.h we see over here, but we need to include it in our program so that when we refer to it down here in the code that we added earlier, it will know what we're talking about. Okay? So that's a very important step. Let's go ahead and save our work, save all. Let's go ahead and now debug it, build it and debug it. There we go. If you've done all of those things that I've just showed you, you should now get a Windows form. I need to make my grid a little bit bigger. As you can see, I can't see all my code, but I have all 4 columns in it, and when I click on Add New Item, I get this form that opens, and we'll just say New Album and Cool Artist, and let's just call it Rock, and the tracks are 12, and we click on Add, and now we see right down here at the bottom, we can't see all of it, but there's my new album, Cool Artist, etc. Okay, I can move over to the right and see all of it. All right, and it's really important. You can go ahead and edit the form a little bit so you can see all 4 of those columns. But once you've done that, you've got a working form that allows you to add new items using the Add New Item form. Good work, you guys. It's been a pleasure working with you this semester. I hope you've enjoyed learning some things about C++. Have a great day.